You are now listening to N21 FM, a Pokemon TCG podcast. I am once again joined today by my great friend Randy, who is a fellow judge of the Pokemon trading card game, excellent human all around, expert at Airy and Salvatore calls. He's got it all, folks. If you don't know who he is, by all means, go watch the pilot. Don't know what you're doing here. You have a couple of episodes to catch up on. Randy, if you don't mind, reintroduce yourself to the folks who may not have heard you yet, or this is their first time.
Hi, hello. I'm Randy. Now 4-time regional judge, which
What a
is
legend.
pretty cool for somebody who's new to the game. This is my first season. There are 100% people out there who have judged 100 regional events, and kudos to them.
Yeah.
But I passed my judge cert in like June of last year, so
Yeah,
here we
Randy's
are.
out here grinding. Seriously, I love it. That's awesome. What's it like already having hit that number? Because I had just redid my credentials and I have judged one event.
It's actually kind of nuts. It all started. I don't know if I've ever told you the story of how I even started playing Pokemon or got into Pokemon, but it started because I'm a local in Charlotte, obviously, and a buddy of mine from Florida, which is where I'm from originally, he messaged me on the side and was like, "Hey, there's a Pokemon regional championship happening in Charlotte at some point next year. Would you mind if I just taught you the rules of the game, gave you a deck, and just let you go play and see how you do?" And I was like, yeah, sure, I guess, whatever. And he's like, great, let's look at deck archetypes and see what you like and whatever.
That's awesome.
And yeah, we looked at Mew and all the other decks that were crazy back then, and sure enough, Mew was the first deck that I built, and that's what got me into the game. Was this crazy idea that I would just randomly, spontaneously learn the game and then just randomly show up to a regionals as if I knew what I was doing. And then I took it kind of more seriously than I expected. I got into it. I jumped, feet first into the judge program and professor program, I should say. Passed all my certs, and yeah, here I am.
That's awesome, dude. I love to see that because it's that kind of fire for the game that makes me so excited to play every day. Because I mean, ultimately, the game's fun. Sometimes it's more fun or less fun than other times, but it's cool to see that kind of passion from you, dude. And you've been a great friend of me and Get Some Game, our local store, and the show. And I really appreciate you, especially coming on again to talk about your most recent Orlando regionals experience. Yeah?
Yep.
Awesome. How was that?
It was a blast. I got the privilege of judging juniors again. I was a floor judge. I was a floor judge for juniors in Charlotte, and so it was the second time me doing it. My head judge for Charlotte, funny enough, was my assistant head judge in Orlando.
Ooh,
and
okay.
Hierarchy tier wise, it's floor judge, assistant head judge, and then the lead. So yeah, it was super cool. My head judge this time around was Will Post, who is a phenomenal professor, judge, player, all around, just great dude.
I think I met Will. He is excellent.
He is fantastic. I had heard a bunch of good things about him beforehand, just from other friends of mine who had staffed under him and learned from him and stuff like that. And it was really cool to finally get to meet him and talk to him and pick his brain about how he views certain things after being in the industry for so long. I think he's been a professor for almost 10 years at this point. He's coming up on 10 years.
Holy smokes.
So yeah, he's been all over the place and worked all kinds of events and through COVID and all that kind of stuff. And it was wild to get to work with people with that much experience who are also very willing to teach, you know what I mean, and eager to teach.
Yeah.
And my evaluation towards the end of it, he was very direct, which I appreciate. I like that kind of stuff. And he was look, here are your strengths. Here are your areas of opportunity as far as growth goes. It's what do you want to do moving forward? I was eventually I want to be a head judge, right? I want to be really confident and be able to know my stuff and primarily judge, guide other judges to, grow and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's just super cool to work under somebody like him.
Yeah. I imagine that is way different too. When you have that old sage type who's just I've been here longer than you've known about this card game.
Yeah. And he's not even 40, I think.
That's wild.
Pretty sure he's a young dude. I could be
That's
totally wrong.
wild.
I have no idea how old he is, but I'm pretty sure he's not even 40.
Wild. Well, to be in the game for a decade is just bananas, no matter how old you are, really. Like, I can't imagine. Obviously, I can't. Being 24, I forgot my age for a second. Being 24, I could never imagine being in the game for 20 years, like at this point at least, or 10 years.
Yeah.
But, like, even if he was 40 or 30, like, imagine spending a third or a quarter of your life just knowing, just soaking up all that knowledge. That's so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you said you judged juniors. Now, we talked briefly about juniors at Charlotte, I believe. What's it like? What's like the differences judging juniors versus like seniors, masters, whoever?
So it's actually funny you asked me that because I have a buddy of mine who's going to Indy who is also doing seniors. And seniors and juniors, the advice you give to somebody who's doing seniors and juniors for the first time is the same for both age groups. And it's different from masters in the sense that you can't
excuse me.
There is a line between simplifying things for the sake of the fact that they're children and treating them like they're dumb, right? Like, there is a really fine line there where you're like, they understand the game, like they play the game, they know the rules, they play with probably their parents or other friends who understand the rules, they watch videos, they watch, whatever, they consume this content. They're not idiots, right? So it's just a matter of like, almost like, it feels like you're reminding them. It feels like you're like, hey, remember that one time you did that one thing? This is that again, right? And it's kind of like walking them through that. But the advice that I gave him when he asked me for that, kind of that same question, was the most important thing is that you kind of like get down to like eye level with them whenever you're speaking to them, making sure that they feel comfortable talking to you and raising their hand and asking you for things, because the last thing you want is to be some kind of like tyrant judge walking around that nobody wants to ask questions for. And just explaining things concisely, like, hey, Path of the Pig was in play, you used Greninja, you discarded a card in Drew 2 when you shouldn't have, so you saw more cards than you should have. Because of that, this thing happens, and this is what the penalty of that happening is, right? So it's just a very 1 + 1 = 2 kind of thing. And as long as you do it that way, they're very, very understanding. You're always going to get tears. You're always going to get people who are not mad at you, the judge, but like just frustrated at the situation. Like,
they're probably mad at themselves, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I saw instances of like drawing an illegal card, and by that I mean like too many cards or something like that, right? Chorus for more than 5 or something like that. And the moment they pick up the extra card, immediately, as soon as they lift it, they know, right? They know, because they pick it up. They pick up number 6 for Chorus, and they go, right? And it's like you can just tell, right? And they know, right? So it's just a matter of coming over and saying, okay, you know what happened, I know what happened. I'm going to lay it all out so that you and your opponent both know what's going to happen here, and we'll proceed from there,
Yeah. Brutal.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being a kid in that circumstance. I mean, I can, because I've done it, and I've just been in my 20s.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if I'd be more mad as a kid or less. That's tough though. I respect the commitment to making sure that the players are comfortable. That's something that a lot of people like probably struggle with a lot. I've worked in like I have worked alongside like youth groups and stuff, and when like it's less of like a rules thing, but like sometimes kids did break the rules because they're kids. That's just what they do.
Yeah.
And like it is tough to like walk that line of like, hey, I need to make sure that I'm not condescending to these people, but I'm also not like, acting like they know everything, because mistakes happen. Mistakes happen, and that's the purpose of people who are there to arbitrate rules, is to make sure like, hey, these things happen, here's how we're going to resolve it, and we can both be cool about this, and let's just keep going.
Yeah. And a lot of times people who do juniors and seniors have some kind of like teaching background. Like at least one of the judges else that was there for juniors was a teacher or a substitute or something like that. And I myself have a background in teaching, so it's kind of like it's all very helpful to like a skill set to have, you know what I mean?
For sure. Having to corral that many people of any age group, but especially kids.
Yeah.
Like that's tough. Yeah. Do you have, so before you went, when this card was first revealed, you and I, or I guess a lot of us in the Greater Charlotte Discord, had some bets placed on the number of Salvatore calls you would get.
That's true. We did have a bet.
I believe I wound up taking the under on the over-under for 40. Can you tell us, did you have a lot of calls for the new card specifically?
I had 0 Salvatore calls.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good. That's probably for the best. To be fair.
I had 0 instances of my opponent use this card on an illegal target and shuffle their deck. Yeah. Zero times that happened, thankfully.
Oh, yeah. Well, because that one I could not imagine trying to explain to a child, like, the reason that that's an illegal move.
Yeah.
Because it's already tough for, like, people who are grown adults to understand that. It's like, the game has knowledge of what's legal and what's not. It's like, what do you mean the game has knowledge? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's a weird concept for sure.
Yeah, it's very like esoteric from many perspectives. So I'm very relieved on your behalf that you did not have a lot of those calls.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, and I understand you had a weird call on another new card that we can get to in a moment. But before we do, let's talk about, because you were blowing up the Greater Charlotte Discord with a lot. Just, you were collecting the Infinity Stones of incredibly popular Pokemon players and members of the community.
True.
At Orlando. You met a ton of people. Tell me about that.
So, I've never staffed all 3 days at an event. And by that, I mean, Fridays are usually like a setup day where you do like player check-in, like early check-in, that kind of thing. Saturdays and Sundays are obviously the full event. I never do Fridays just because of scheduling and PTO and stuff. And on Sundays, I'm typically like working until pretty late, like after finals almost, right? Yeah. Sunday for Orlando, I actually wasn't feeling that well after lunch. So I had to cut my Sunday short. Like I finished juniors, went over to side events to help them run some tournaments. I was helping them with retro, nice. Like 2009 decks, like that kind of stuff. So we were running those pods, which is pretty cool. And then I just like wasn't feeling great. Like it was like a combination of like headache and nausea and whatever else. So I like walked up to the Hive for side events, and I was like, hey, listen, I think I'm going to call it. Like, I'm not feeling that great. The last thing I want to do is get somebody else sick. Like, I don't know what I have, whatever. So I went and I sat down, I drank some water. I kind of just, chilled for a bit after collecting my payout for staffing and everything. It eventually felt a little bit better and everything. So I decided to just walk around and kind of see what I could find. And sure enough, I ran into Tord Reklev, and I was like, wow, this is not a normal human being. It was like, not at all. As I walked up to him, somebody else had just gotten to him, and I cracked a joke. I was like, soon you're gonna have people lining up to take pictures with you. And so the guy who had just walked up to him was like, speaking of which, would you mind? And I was like, and he looked at Tord, and Tord was like, yeah, go for it. So I took his phone and I took a picture of them, and then Tord looks at me and he goes, do you want one too? So I got my phone, gave it to the guy. The guy took a picture of us too, and I have it on my phone now. So that was really cool.
What an icon.
He's absolutely great. He does, obviously he has his like accent and everything like that, but right. I wouldn't call it like a language barrier. He fully understands English, obviously, and I understood him. He just feels like face to face. I don't know if like, I'm a huge fan of him, right? So like, there's a sense of almost like humbleness when you speak to him. He's like, I told him, I was like, listen, I'm a huge fan of yours. I just finished staffing the event. Like I was working for juniors, and like they all look up to you and Azul and people like you guys, and you're a huge role model for them. And he was very like almost like bashful about it. He was like, oh no, please, like don't say stuff like that, like whatever. And it's crazy because like he's a super cool guy, super down to earth. Like he knows how good he is, but he's also very humble about it at the same time, which is interesting.
That's really cool. Yeah, I feel like it'd be very easy because, like, in many, and not that this is the same as sports, but like in a lot of situations, like art forms, sports, you get people who are like, no, I know I'm the best.
Yeah.
like even like right now, totally unrelated, but like I've been following the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef. And like Kendrick knows he's the best. You can disagree with me or not. That's totally up to you.
I don't listen to either of them.
Oh, that's a shame. But like Kendrick knows he's the best, and he's very vocal about it and doesn't care. So it's cool that, like, especially in this community, that we have people who are so humble about it. Like that's a really admirable trait.
Yeah. So yeah, I ran into Torrid, and then I kept walking around, and I knew that Frosted Caribou Shelby was going to be there. So I was like, I gotta find her somewhere and see if I could take a picture. So I'm standing there. We're watching. It had to have been top 8 at this point. It was either top 8 or top 4. But she was like recording with her little like stand thing. She had like one of those things that connects to your phone so that it doesn't look like it's shaking type of thing. So she's like recording for obviously a future video and everything like that. And she's like talking to her husband who's there and like giving him the phone and the camera, and like they're figuring stuff out. She gets called to the back to like do a segment as a guest, which I watched there live. And and then Taco, her husband, comes up like right next to me, and he's like recording or whatever. And I looked at him and I was like, hey, listen, I'm like, I was like, I don't want to bother you or anything, but I'm like taking pictures with all my favorite players and like casters and everything like that. Like, here's a picture of me with Juancho. Here's a picture of me with Tord. Like, do you think she would be okay if it would be okay if I asked her to take a picture with me? And he goes, bro, she's all for that. Absolutely. The moment she comes out here, I'll tell her, you'll get a picture. Like, he was like the coolest guy ever.
That's so great.
After all this, by the way, they both followed me on Twitter and I followed them back. I melted, bro. Like, they're the coolest.
Incredible.
People. They're both super nice, super genuine. Like, it's exactly what they're both as nice as you would think they are.
I love that.
But he was basically like, yeah, as soon as she comes out, like, I'll tell her, you guys can take a picture. As he says those words, she jumps up behind him and surprises him. And he goes, speak of the devil. And she's like, hi. And I'm like, wow. Hey, really big fan. I was just telling Taco all of these things. And she goes, yes, absolutely. Let's take a picture. So whatever, we take a picture together. I would call myself below average height. I'm 5'7". I would consider average height in America for a guy to be like 5'9" to 5'11" is average height, I think.
So.
And
short king status. That's
right,
okay.
right. And she's tall. So,
that's true.
Yeah. So the pictures we took, she was like bending like one of her legs to like kind of meet my height, which is super cool. But yeah, it was nice. It was a really fun experience. Them following me was a cherry on top, right? Because
wow,
who gets to say that, right? But
yeah, that's so sick.
No, it was
met Juancho as well, right?
Cool. Yeah, I met Juancho.
Outstanding friend of the show.
Saturday night, actually. Everybody was leaving. Everybody's packing up. He had just finished his shift, I guess. And he was walking away. I gotta say, like, visibly tired. Like, he had just worked a whole day, right?
Yeah.
So like, maybe I shouldn't have. I kind of felt bad after the fact, and I know him. He would tell me not to feel bad, but I walked up to him and I was like, "Hey, like, you were on my friend's podcast, like, blah blah blah. Do you mind if I take a picture?" And he was like, "Yeah, bro, let's go for it." So we took a picture, and I was like, "Yeah, I appreciate you. Like, you're great." And then we were walking out of the venue kind of together, and I got to ask him a couple of questions about like their roles and how they like decide who comments on what and like that kind of thing. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
It's so cool. That's more stuff that, like, as the show goes on, I want to get more people from like the Hive and the tech side of things, just because that is such an interesting facet of the game. Is like, is it a competition? Yes, absolutely. But it's also a production. It's so cool.
And I got some names to recommend for you if you want to reach out to them.
Oh, listen, we can talk about that after the show. Absolutely. I've got a list. I'm ready for it. Oh man.
Oh, and it was Taco's birthday on Sunday.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Finals day was his birthday, so she like did a shout out for him and everything. And as he walked by, I was like, "Oh, happy birthday!" He's like,
"How sweet." Oh man, that's great. Cool. Wow. Oh, it just occurred to me. Will you can actually, do you have anything else you wanted to say wrapping up about Orlando? I saw you had met as well. It looks like you met LDF as well. Is that correct?
Sure.
Is that true? I thought I saw a photo.
Is that this guy?
Yeah, absolutely. It is.
Then
That's
yes.
Hey!
Then yes, I absolutely met him. Yep.
He is incredible, by the way. I don't know how long you guys had to talk, but I met him briefly, not this past Charlotte regional, but the one before. And he's if somehow you at home don't know who LDF is, go follow his channel, Little Dark Fury. He's the king of rogue decks, and I am a filthy hipster, and I love rogue decks. It's so much fun to play stuff that's like not meta, just because, let's be real, the meta right now doesn't require a lot of thought process.
Yeah.
So it's nice to think about my plays, and I met him just for a little bit, but we talked shop about like the video creation process, the like the editing situation, like how much gets left on the cutting room floor over a game of Pokemon. He brought Eternatus to that tournament, and I brought Palkia and Teleon. We played a game. I was blown away because he was he thought that my picks were cool. I brought Palkia and Teleon with Alolan Vulpix V-Star. And he was like, I really like that card. That's nice. A good card. And I felt over the moon. I was starstruck because he's great. He's so great. I got a photo with him as well. It's cool to have these people in the community, man. It's so cool. Was there anybody else on your hit list of folks to take photos with?
No, I think that was it. I mean, there are like obviously the other casters. I want to eventually have a picture with all the casters because I'm a huge fan of all of them, and I see them around. But I'm also the kind of guy that like I'm very shy when it comes to asking people to stop whatever they're doing and take a picture with me.
Yeah,
I try not to. Like if they're already being stopped by somebody for a picture, then I'll go, hey, like, do you mind if I squeeze in here? Maybe take one more, like whatever. But like, if I see Azul, or actually this has already happened, I've seen Azul and I've seen Andrew Mahone and all these people just like walking around, and I'm like, I want to say something, but no, you know, like, and it just like, I let him walk. I only stopped for Little Dark Fury because I saw him texting somebody, and I was like, hey, can I ask you a question? And he goes, yeah, what's up, man? And I'll go, are you Little Dark Fury? He goes, yeah. And I was like, can I take a picture? He's like, sure, dude. Like awesome. he was already kind of stopped, you know.
Dude, I felt that same way at Charlotte when Andrew Mahone was like in line. I was trying to vlog, which never happened, by the way. But like I got some clips, and I like was walking by. I saw him as the line was like wrapping around, and so I caught him on the second loop.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, can you say hey to the camera? And like, dude, I felt like garbage, because if you had seen the way this man looked at me, definitely not on his fault. It's probably just a combination of like, many people understand he's got RBF. Let's not sugarcoat it. He super does.
Yeah.
But he was also probably exhausted from like the trip here, because he was bunking up with Full Grip, and like the travel I understood was a whole process. So like I looked back at the footage, and he looked dead inside. So now I'm so careful in those situations not to be like overstepping boundaries. It's tough.
Yeah, he always looks like he's in the zone, right? He always looks like he's hyper focused, and those are the people you don't want to approach.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You never want to approach somebody who's just locked absolutely in.
Yeah.
Oh man. So sick. That's incredible, dude. I'm stoked for you. That's a lot of really cool people. I'm hoping for more experiences like that, just for myself at regionals, and like maybe on the show at some point. That's gonna be really, really dope.
I mean, I'm gonna be at NAIC, whether I'm staffing it or otherwise. Like I'm there that weekend anyway.
Okay.
We just finished filling out staff applications last night. They opened last night. So if I get to staff it, obviously super cool. But if not, then I'm a spectator. And if I'm a spectator, I feel a lot more comfortable asking for pictures and things. So
true.
We'll see.
Nice. Yeah, so let's talk then Did you do any like side events at Orlando? Or because you said you weren't really feeling well. You did the
I didn't
retro
play
format
any
stuff.
events. Yeah, I didn't play any events. I just like ran them. For the like after I had collected my stuff and everything, I was just walking around watching. I sat down with another judge friend of mine who was doing Masters, and he got let go, so we sat down together to watch the finals game, and obviously that was crazy. So
yeah, bananas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool, man. So let's get down to business then. Let's talk about this infamous. You have really hyped up this play, this airy
That's
play,
true.
and I am so intrigued to hear about it today.
Now I'm afraid I'm not gonna live up to the hype.
No. I'm stoked. I'm
Okay.
here for it.
All right. Let me set the stage.
Please do.
All right. So we've got two players.
Mm-hmm.
One player had just used Iono.
Yeah.
Now follow me because this one's a little tricky. I wasn't sure whether I needed to include this detail or not, but for the sake of like giving you the whole story, player A uses Iono.
Yeah.
And player B doesn't hear or notice or see that Iono was played.
Oh.
So one player performs the Iono, the other player does not.
Okay.
The player who does not perform the Iono plays Luminion and searches for Airy.
Oh boy.
Hold on. It's a whole thing. Searches for Airy. At some point, player who used Luminion and searched for Airy plays the Airy, but only after having used a supporter. It's a whole Yeah. It's
what do you mean by that?
I got to that table and I was like, I'm gonna need you guys to walk me through this very carefully. So they use an Airy that they weren't supposed to have in their hand.
Got you.
Because their hand was supposed to have been Ionoed.
Right.
And the Luminion would have been in that hand.
At the bottom of the deck, for
this player is playing Charizard, by the way.
Of course.
It's a Charizard. Actually, it's a Charizard mirror match, if my memory serves correctly. It's a Charizard mirror. The person's Luminion should have been at the bottom of the deck with the rest of their hand. And then at some point after playing the Airy, they realize, wait, my hand should be a different number of cards than it is. I only have 2 cards in my hand. It should be 6, whatever prizes they had. That's when they call the judge. When they go, my hand doesn't match up.
Oh no.
What do, right?
Yeah.
Mind you, at this point, they had played the Airy, and their opponent had revealed.
Oh no!
And the opponent had revealed their hand.
Oh no!
Right? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
The opponent, just for knowledge, the opponent who had revealed their hand had 2 Charizards on board that they had rare candied, and 2 rare candies in hand.
Oh man.
Okay.
So it's high stakes.
So let's leave that there. 4 rare candies have been seen. 2 in the discard, 2 in the hand.
Oh no.
On player A's side, right?
Yeah.
So we'll leave that there. Player B calls me. I walk over. I'm looking at the stuff. They explain to me what happened. I go, okay, here's what we're gonna do. There's a way to fix. There's a way to rewind this situation, right? So we are going to count. We counted the hand. We counted where the Luminion was supposed to be. We performed the Iono retroactively. Put the Luminion at the bottom. Put a card back. The draw for turn. Counted that. Ionoed the rest. It was a whole. The whole mess of things.
Yeah.
We ended up successfully reversing the game state.
Right. Minus the shuffle from the Luminion, probably.
Yeah, exactly. We had reversed the game state successfully to the point where Iono has happened. Both players have Ionoed. Now both players have their full hand of cards.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Now, because of the previous Airy play, player B now has knowledge of player A's hand.
What do you do at that point?
So the penalty for all of that initially was ruled as a double prize card penalty.
Reasonable.
Right?
Very reasonable.
Well, the thought process, of course, being you gain knowledge you weren't supposed to gain, which normally stops at you drew a card and gained knowledge you weren't supposed to gain. In this case, you saw your opponent's hand and gained knowledge you weren't supposed to gain.
Right.
Notice that last sentence is the important part here. The penalty for gaining knowledge you're not supposed to gain is a double prize card penalty, usually.
Jeez.
So, player B proceeds with their turn after having successfully performed the Iono at this point. Okay. There is a Pidgeot on the board. Okay. So they quick search. They find the Airy.
Oh, no.
They play the Airy legally.
Okay.
Because now they have legally found it, right? Before it was illegal because it was a Luminion search from a Luminion that wasn't supposed to be in their hand.
Right.
So this time they searched it legally, played the Airy, opponent reveals hand. They point at 2 rare candies, and the 2 rare candies are supposed to be discarded.
Right.
Now, pause here.
There's more.
Because this is where the question lies, right? Because player A, the I guess victim of the Airy in this scenario,
for sure,
makes an argument, and they say, well, the first Airy, the illegal Airy, gave my opponent information that is not balanced by a double prize card penalty.
Valid.
Because they saw my hand and they saw that I had 2 rare candies in my hand, they now have an avenue to discard the 2 rare candies and prevent me from winning the game. Because that's my win condition.
Right.
One Zard is almost dead. It already had damage on it. The next Zard, the full health Zard, is dying that turn.
Yeah.
So they're both dying no matter what.
Right.
A player like the receiving Airy player would have no way to bring back another Zard at this point.
Right.
So the argument is, like, they wouldn't have looked for Airy in this scenario. They would have looked for a different card. They only looked for Airy again because they had already seen my hand. They had already seen that I have rare candies in my hand. So now it's a matter of, okay, how much merit is there in that, and how do you counterbalance that?
Oh, that's interesting. That's tough.
Because if I gain knowledge of your hand, that now allows me to play entirely around it. And with quick search, you can play around it however you want, right?
Right.
So the player A was basically saying they would have used quick search to find this card instead because it makes more sense in their situation. This is a Charizard mirror match. I know how to play their deck, and this is what I would do in that situation. And everybody kind of agreed that, that would have been the, I guess, optimal play in that sense, right?
Interesting.
And so the argument was they only would have found the Airy because they had already used the Airy and therefore are preventing me from winning the game.
Well, did player B have other supporters in deck to go for? So my question would be, like, since player B did still search for the Airy, albeit illegally, with the Luminian and with, a different avenue, in my mind, that was still the play that they would have gone for. Since they had to search out a supporter anyhow, like, would they have ever played a different supporter?
So I forget what exactly was the state of the board at this point, but I do remember that when player A said, hey, player B would have found this card instead with that quick search, it made perfect sense. It was one of those situations where you're absolutely right. Without the knowledge of the rare candies in your hand, the play you're suggesting would have been the most optimal play for the sake of winning the game. Now, that's not up to us to decide. So what happens here is player A makes
them the benefit of the doubt.
Right. Player A makes that claim. Now player B says, no, that's not true, because I played the Luminion to look for the Airy.
Right. That's
you Iono'd my Luminion, and now I have quick search. So I'm just going to quick search for the Airy that I was going to look for with the Luminion anyway. Yeah. You're just making it so that I have to use quick search instead of being able to use Luminion, which is a very valid argument.
Yeah.
So now it's not so much a he said, she said kind of thing, but it's just a very back and forth that seems to just go on forever, because the argument...
that's very much like if you pick either player, you're taking sides.
Right. The underlying argument here is the penalty of double prize card enough to counterbalance the knowledge you gained from the illegal Airy play?
Interesting.
That's the point here. So we discussed this. It was me. It was the head judge. It was the assistant head judge. It was everybody. We're there. We're discussing this.
Yeah, that's like it takes a village moment.
Yeah. And we went through every avenue, through every factor that we could think of, and the ruling, was different than the initial ruling.
Oh,
like
boy.
The ruling the post appeal, which is technically it was an appeal from the player.
Right.
The ruling post appeal was different from the original ruling given. Now, let's play a game. Do you have any guesses as to how this might have been resolved? Because I wouldn't have thought of this in a million years. This is 100% where 10 years of experience from Will Post and however many years of experience Cody has came together and made this beautiful call.
My guess, and I think I'm going with this one mostly for shock factor, because I don't know how realistic it is. My guess would be that player A also received a 2 prize loss, because it is the responsibility of both players to keep track of the board state and to make sure that you don't reveal that knowledge to your opponent when they are making an illegal play. Interesting.
Okay. All right.
That is like they both received a 2 prize card penalty.
Yeah, I hear you. It's why a lot of situations like that, like 2 players receive a warning, because it's up to both players to maintain the board state. Like it's up to you to remind your opponent that Path to the Peak is in play before they Greninja, right? Like that kind of thing. Yeah, I hear you. That's not what happened.
Probably not. Yeah, it was a shot in the dark for sure.
No, I get you. So here's what actually happened.
Oh boy.
We come back to the table, and we rule it as an irreparable game state.
Oh.
Right? You have created
irreparable.
You have created an instance in the game that cannot be taken back. You can't take back the knowledge you've gained from seeing your opponent's hand.
Yeah, and that's true.
Given the situation, there is no way for you to play now without taking advantage of the knowledge you've gotten from the illegal card you played.
Dang.
So it was ruled as a game loss for player B. Because they created a board state that was irreparable. I can't go back and wipe their hand from your mind.
No, you can't. Yeah, that makes good sense, actually. That makes probably more sense than what I was thinking.
But that play has been written down. So that whole ruling has been written down and noted in our
precedent now.
Discord channel. Yeah, like we are going to use that as a teaching moment for future generations, because it's one of those things where like you have gained a level of knowledge that makes the game unfair at this point. Yeah.
They should give out pins for like I made the judge compendium. I think that'd be sick, actually.
That would be cool. Yeah. I don't know if it'll make it onto the compendium, but we are noting it down for like future like judge lessons and seminars and things.
Yeah, that's really good. Wow.
Yep.
Holy smokes. And you said they played a second supporter?
No, the second supporter was a different call that just like in Orlando, I got the 2 calls confused when I was retelling the story to a friend of mine.
All good. That's crazy though.
But yeah,
you hyped that up an appropriate amount for sure. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I would, and immediately just like, yo, that is, how do you even do that? I get it. Like they're young, and also like, what round was it at this point? They were probably exhausted.
It was one of the later rounds. On Saturday. But yeah, it was a doozy.
That's I'm tired of quick searching.
Yeah, no. What's really funny is before this event, a lot of times in these Discord channels leading up to the event, like the teams get sorted into their appropriate like channels and groups and that kind of thing. And like our leads, like our head judges and stuff, will like think of fun games and questions to break the ice and get to know everybody on the team and that kind of stuff. And one of the questions that we were asked in the group was, can you mention a time, like what's the most wacky ruling or fun ruling that you've had to like figure out or something like that?
Yeah.
And before that call, I didn't know what my answer was going to be. Like, I don't know. I answered 27 Path Greninja calls in Charlotte. Like that would have been my thing, right? But now that area play is going to be my answer every single time. Yeah.
Wow. Oh man, who would have thought? That's crazy. Oh man, yeah, absolutely bananas.
Mhm.
Because yeah, hand knowledge is crazy, and we're seeing a lot of hand knowledge stuff. Because you've got things like Grabber, you've got Airy, you've got Erica's Invitation for those degenerate Snorlax players. I said it. You've got.
I'm with you. It's really
And
hard
then
to be a
with,
judge and be open about the decks that you hate, because
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I don't want my
For sure.
players to feel like I'm going to like favor their opponent if they are playing a deck I don't like.
yeah,
That's what I'm trying to avoid here.
totally reasonable. I get that. It's
But
why I'm gonna have to scrub all of my Charizard hatred from the internet before I go judging anywhere.
I am open about my Charizard hatred. It's fine.
As you should be. I think it's reasonable. I think we should discriminate openly about Charizard. Absolutely. And we're getting more stuff like that too. Because I guarantee you, what's that new card coming out? It's the new trainer. I'm looking at it on Twilight Masquerade. It is the Whistle. It's the one that lets you look at the top 5 of your opponent's deck and basically echoing horn one onto the bench. What's it called?
Fable Flute?
Yeah.
Reveal the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck and put any number of basic Pokemon you find there on your opponent's bench. Any number is crazy.
Any number is, but I thought it was one.
Any number is crazy, dude.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe I just reread that for the first time.
Any number is crazy.
Any number. This is going to be a problem card.
Yeah.
So quickly.
Any number is wild for sure.
Oh man. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that's like you get to look at it. You get to look at your opponent's hand. I don't see any, but oh my goodness. Yeah, there's gonna be some fun rulings. Like a lot of fun rulings. A lot of brutal recording.
I don't know, fun is the word I would use.
Yeah, brutal for sure.
Hey,
brutal
how good
rulings.
do you think Unfair Stamp's gonna be?
So good. It might be the new Lost Zone A-Spec.
You can play this card only if one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn. Each player shuffles your hand into their deck, then you draw 5 and your opponent draw 2.
Dude.
Oh my god, it's Roxanne.
I am so excited to play that with Darkrai V-Star and Arbok EX from 151. Because, and I don't know if we've talked about this or not, Arbok EX for 3 Darkness Energy has the Menacing Fangs attack, where it says your opponent discards 2 cards from their hands. It also does 150 damage.
Sure.
That is taking out every draw engine in the game. And you're able to reuse that joint with Darkrai V-Star.
Yeah.
So if your guys get knocked out one turn and you're like, oh, that's neat. Here's an Unfair Stamp. You're going down to 2 cards in hand. Also, I'm going to boss up, because Unfair Stamp's an item and not a supporter, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to boss up your Bibarel. I'm going to Menacing Fangs to knock it out and discard the 2 cards in your hand. Have fun with your top deck.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question for you too.
Yeah.
So you are our resident Inteleon player.
Oh, yes.
You are our Inteleon Urshifu VMAX master.
I still have the guts of that deck.
I need your opinion on the new Urshifu Greninja EX.
Greninja. I think it looks sick. I think it looks sick for a myriad of reasons. Unfortunately, though, the one thing I dislike about it is that the only way it's been played so far is in Charizard.
Yeah.
That seems ridiculous to me. And I'm sure that's just me being toxic. But I think that card is sick. I think we'll probably see some really cool plays with it.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I think the best way to play it is actually in Charizard. I can't think of a better way to play it, because you're not powering that thing up with 2 Boomerang energy.
Right.
You're not really getting that to happen.
Dude,
we don't have Melanie in the format anymore.
1 water energy for 170 and a quick search is
and a free tutor, yeah.
Crazy, dude.
It's pretty nuts.
Oh my god.
I like that a lot. It's just good.
I'm very excited. Single prizers and pluses even more. You get your prize card and you get your tutor.
Yeah. Which can just be like a boss, so that you can boss up the Manaphy. and like canceling Cologne and Duplicate's Barrage.
It's wild.
It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good.
How much play Palafini X is going to see?
I think it'll see. I think we'll see it on an LDF video.
Like for 250 for one water.
250 for one water is crazy. I think because it's such a messy deck, it'll be really tough to piece all that together. But I don't know. Like, it seems fine. You get to keep your Palafin, so you're your baby Palafin, so you can realistically just run like 2 baby Palafin instead and run like 4 Palafin EX, so that because you're only ever having to get 1 and then you just put it back in the deck.
True.
Irid is still in the format, which means that's going to be really like useful. It 250 for, and it's a stage 1 with 340 HP.
Yep, it sure is.
Who printed that? Who gave the okay for that?
Oh man,
insane.
I do wonder. Like
it is a lot of work though.
All of the Ogre Pawns in general. I wonder if or how much play they'll see in the US.
I think the grass one's cool, and I love the Cornerstone one, the fighting type.
Yeah,
that one's got like my favorite. It's got Vulpix V-Star on it. It just says it cannot be. It's an ability on a basic instead of a attack effect, like an effect of an attack on a stage 1.
Yeah.
So prevent all damage from attacks done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon that have an ability. So that's think of who's in the format right now. Charizard. Charizard. Charizard's in there too. We can't forget about that.
Yeah.
Although I'm curious as to who else that's really going to block. Arceus V-Star maybe? This thing already dunks on Arceus V-Star though. I guess that's good. It's terrible against. I guess it beats out Lugia, but you're never really attacking with Lugia.
Right. Damage from attack stunts Pokemon by your opponent's.
There could be some really cool stuff. It'll all depend because right now it's hard to think of anything in the format that has an ability that's not Charizard. Because most of the other guys don't have abilities. Like future decks don't have abilities. Lost Zone decks are mostly just playing
Chen-Pao.
Chen-Pao's valid. Oh yeah, you have no attackers against that actually, unless you play the Mew EX. The Mew EX dunks on that card because it's got Shred too, right?
Mew EX dunks on what? Mew EX has an ability.
Mew EX copies Cornerstone Ogrepon's Demolish that says this attack isn't damaged by. This attack's damage isn't affected by weakness or resistance or any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon.
Oh, true, dude.
It's got Shred in there.
Reading the card explains the card, dude.
Reading the card does, in fact, explain the card. 4-time regional judge, by the way.
I'm gonna say that all the time.
Oh, man. Mew EX is your only answer to that in Chen-Pao, because even, like, Baxcalibur... That's got an ability. You're never attacking that with an Iron Hands. Because if you do, you're just getting pinged back for the knockout.
Right.
But yeah, Mew EX is really good for that. What's some other cool stuff? New Scolipede. I'm a big Scolipede enjoyer. And this card sucks, but I like seeing Scolipede and that whole line. What else is new in here? The new Heatran looks sick. And it could be really cool in like GLC. Maybe in like Dialga or other metal decks. I'd like to see a metal box type deck come out.
What do you mean?
Something with like a bunch of guys in it. Because like the Metang engine is incredible. And I feel like it's doing a disservice to it to only partner it with Dialga V-Star. You could totally throw in Caparaja for a tanky build. You could throw in this new Heatran where you're like doing a ton of damage. You're doing 50x. And you're hitting, if you've got 3 Metang on the bench, if you hit 2 for each one of those, you're doing 300 damage off of that Steel Burst. And then you Hisuian, Basculegion, all that crap back in.
Right.
I'm cooking.
Yeah, you're cooking.
But like I feel like there's a lot of really cool metal guys in the format right now, and I feel like it's doing a disservice to not partner them with more dudes. I love the idea of also partnering with something like Revavroom EX, where you can put 4 tools on it. One of them could be Hero's Cape. Like, there's a lot of really cool stuff to partner. I would love to see a cool metal box deck come out. but I don't think we're quite there yet.
Yeah.
If we had Metal Saucer still in format, oh dude, it'd be over.
Did you see? I don't know if this was confirmed or if it was a fan made thing, but did you see that supposedly the set after Twilight Masquerade is supposed to be dragon themed?
I did.
Is that legit?
I think it is. Actually,
do you know my favorite type in this game is
dragon. It's the only GLC deck you have.
That's true.
Yeah. It's right here on Poke Beach. We can confirm Paradise Dragona will release in Japan on September 13th. Mark your calendars. That's a big deal because that means it'll probably be our holiday specialty set, which means it's gonna be so sick. That's where we're getting Hydrapple, dude. It's gotta be. I
can't wait, dude.
We're gonna get. Hold on. Update. As of today, exclusive new scoop.
Okay.
The official sell sheet says that the set will feature many dragon-type Pokemon, including Alolan Executor, Latios, and Latias.
Very cool.
And of course, Hydrapple is going to be there, because why wouldn't it be?
Hey, let me play a Latios deck, dude. That'd be so sick.
That's going to be so sick. Because there's still some really cool Latios and Latias in the format. Oh, no, there's not. Dang it. The Fusion Strike Latios would have been so sick to play with that. In the same article, while we're here, we can also talk Supercharged Breaker set will release in Japan on October 18th. Will be accompanied with the release of a deck box card and card sleeves featuring a Terra-type Stellar Pikachu, which means, unfortunately, the Stellar Terra type is coming to the game.
Yep.
Which is going to be interesting. I'm actually excited about that. I'm sure that's going to be a ridiculous new rule.
Yeah.
Wild times.
So going back to the Cornerstone Ogrepon.
Yeah.
Weak to grass totally blocks out Iron Leaves.
Oh, you have to play Baby Leaves.
Is weak to grass, but negates Iron Leaves.
And Mew doesn't dunk on it. Mew doesn't dunk on it anymore. Yeah, you had to. Otherwise, Mew would destroy that card.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that does make it. You have to play the Baby Iron Leaves that's also featured in this set. Otherwise, you're not beating that thing out. Wild. Which, I mean, I guess that's a really cool thing to mention as well. The new Iron Leaves Baby is grass is all the way at the top. It says grass colorless, avenging edge, 100 plus if any of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an attack. That's going to be an important ruling. Damage from attack. Roaring Mooney X Enjoyers are eaten good. During their last turn, this attack does 60 more. That's going to be great for going up against Charizard and maybe this Ogrepon. But I feel like if you know that that's coming, you also just play the Ogre Mask and switch into something else. That's going
to be such an annoying deck, dude.
That's going to be a really gross deck.
It'll be really fun, though.
I love the concept.
It'll make the game feel fresh, I think, that you can keep just like swapping out like that.
I love it. I think it's so cool. I think I'm trying to see what the other ones are. Sky has been preaching the gospel of Wellspring Mask for a long time in Lugia, of all things, which I'm intrigued by.
Where is this?
Torrential Pump is 100 damage. You can shuffle 3 energy attached to this Pokemon into your deck. If you do, this attack does 120 to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So you can charge that thing up with an Archeops, do 100, and snipe 120, shuffle it all back in, and then you get to use it again. That's a genuine case for using Neo Upper energy.
Yeah, that's fair. Carmine.
Oh, wait, not Neo Upper, maybe something else. Carmine does look sick. Like, Carmine's gonna be great.
Do you play Carmine instead of 1 Squawk, or do you play Carmine instead of 4 Research?
Depends on the deck. I think if you're in some circumstances, you rock like really aggressive turbo decks, like Hisuian Zoroark V-Star, perhaps, which I'm sure that no one's playing this deck. But just in case you are, Ancient Box is gonna love this card because they're gonna actually be able to go first and get attacks off later and like survive. You'll be able to get your energy in the discard. You'll be able to get all your guys. Yeah, crazy. For those of you who are following it along and don't have the article in front of you, Carmine says if you go first, you may play this card during your first turn. This is a supporter card. Normally, that would be locked to your second turn going first or your first turn going second. And the effect of the card itself is discard your hand and draw 5. So it's a worse research, except that it's not. It's better because you can play it on your first turn going first.
Yeah.
Wild.
It's the difference. I think Carmine and Research is Buddy Buddy Puffin and VIP Pass.
For sure.
They are both situationally good in respective situations.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great to get like a one of Carmine, especially in a deck that plays a lot of Poké Gear. Or even if you have like, I could see a future where Ancient Box starts playing like the Rotom and Forest Sealstone package to go, if they have Tool Search, that is. Or like some deck running some kind of Tool Search with a V Pokemon, Forest Sealstone, go grab Carmine, research. Maybe you play the Squawk 2, get that down, squawk your hand away. And you're so set up at that point. You've seen 11 cards before you do any like Greninja, Radiant Greninja, before you do any other like that.
Yeah.
So then you could probably see 11, 12, 13. You could see 16 cards turn 1 if you include like the Rotom Quick Charge. That's a lot of cards. 16 cards turn 1 going first.
Yeah.
That's
you're fully set up for whatever you want to do at that point.
Yeah, there's nothing you've seen at least one copy of most cards you have in your deck.
Yeah.
At that point. Ridiculous card. I think it will be very fringe. It will be seen in like control decks, maybe. Aggro decks for sure. Like if we ever see like a resurgence of Darkrai V-Star, that's going in there for sure. Yeah, busted card. So cool. And the arts look sick as well.
Yes.
There's a lot of insane stuff coming in this set because Blood Moon Ursaluna's in there too. Radzard for 2 prizes and colorless. It's gonna make Lost Box really, really good. I'm trying to see. This Ambipom is gonna be interesting. I didn't even know this existed. Wicked Tail is its ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may flip 2 coins. For each heads, choose a random card from your opponent's hand. Your opponent reveals that card and shuffles it into their deck. Silly. Not particularly good, but very silly.
Just silly, yeah.
What else? This new Tatsugiri? Oh, let's talk Dragon types. We briefly mentioned Dragon types a second ago. Let's talk about them. They have some crazy Dragon types coming out. Specifically, Dragapult EX. Dragapult EX and Tatsugiri. Dragapult EX is a 320 HP Stage 2 Dragon-type Pokemon with the attack Jet Headbutt for 70 damage for a colorless energy, and Phantom Dive for a Fire and a Psychic. It does 200, put 6 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon in any way you like. And that's great, but what makes it even better is the Dracloak. Now, did you ever play on PDCGO when they had theme decks?
Can't say I did.
The best theme deck at the time ran Airmail Pidgey and Dragonite. With the Dragonite just was like a powerhouse. It did so much damage.
Okay.
And it like accelerated energy or something too. And Airmail Pidgey was the GOAT in that deck. It made me feel like I was playing high level Pokemon with a theme deck, which is ridiculous. And this Dracloak has that same ability, where it's Airmail. But, it's Reconnaissance Raid. But it's once during your turn, look at the top 2 cards, put one into your hand and the other on the bottom. What are your thoughts?
It's pretty good.
I agree. I would agree.
Being able to just, like, scry? Is it scrying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Being able to just scry like that.
Scry
like,
2.
Effects like that are just so... like subtly good. You know what I mean? Like you don't realize how good they are until your opponent has done it 2 or 3 times and they're sculpting their hand at this point.
True.
Like that's really when it gets.
You get to do it multiple times a turn.
A little outlandish, yeah.
You're seeing 6 cards out of that. Wow. What do you think of this Tatsugiri as well?
Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may look at the top 6 cards of your deck, reveal a supported card you find there, and put it into your hand. Shuffle the other cards. So it's Poke Gear on a card, right?
Yeah.
On a Pokemon.
Yep.
I mean, it's cute. I don't know how much I love it because of it needing to be in the active spot.
Yeah.
If it had free retreat or something, I'd be obviously more inclined for it, but
right.
I'd have to see it in play to see how good it is. It might see play in a GLC deck, but
for sure.
I don't know how much standard play it'll see.
Okay. That's wild. Because I think back to, I forget that you didn't play through like the crazy power creep era.
I started like a week before Obsidian Flames came out.
And then you started right in time for a new power creep era. Lucky you. There was a Jirachi card very similar to this back in the day. During Sun and Moon Team Up. That had the ability Stellar Wish. Once during your turn, before you attack, if this Pokemon is in your active spot, you can look at the top 5 and reveal a trainer card you find there and put it into your hand, and then shuffle the rest back into your deck. And this Pokemon is now asleep. People played that with, I think it was there was a rescue board of some kind that you just retreated it, and then eventually Air Balloon to just free retreat. It was the way that people played Zacian ADP, which was the best deck in format. Hands down. So I see that and I'm like, this looks just as broken.
Right.
Being able to get that, play something like Lance to get 3 dragons of any stage into your hand, like, that's pretty cool. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hopeful that we can get back to a format like that where it's a little more slow and tedious and you can afford to have a little dude in the active. Part of me hopes that will happen. Part of me is really scared that won't ever happen again.
Yeah, they'd have to like really slow down the game. I don't know.
We'll get there, I'm sure.
I'm afraid we'll get to the point where like some crazy EX or V or something has like 400 HP and that becomes the norm.
I don't ever want to see 400 HP. If I see them print 400 HP, I'm taking a break. Unless it's something ridiculous.
It'll be like a Slacking or a Snorlax with 400 HP and like a 30 damage attack. You know what I mean?
I can excuse like a Snorlax that has 400 and gives up 3 prizes. And like reduces your own bench.
Yeah.
That is the only circumstance where I can find that acceptable.
I don't know. This is why I'm not in game design.
Yeah, for sure. I would be so bad at it. There's a lot of incredible cards coming out in this set though, which I'm both pumped and afraid of. Survival Brace, Secret Box is going to be nuts. Where it's the A-Spec that says you can only use it if you discard 3 cards from your hand. But go get your whole setup, i.e. an item, a tool, a supporter, a stadium.
It'll be good on Lugia.
What?
It'll be good on Lugia. I understand the hype behind playing is it Legacy Energy? Is that what it's called?
That's
Legacy Energy.
That's a different one. Yeah.
In Lugia, like I get it. It's cute. Yeah. I don't think it'll be the card that people play in Lugia. I think Lugia is going to see Secret Box or continue to see Master Ball, and that's it. I don't think Legacy Energy is going to be. I don't think it's good enough to like be put into Lugia.
It's a situation where that card it's almost dead on arrival because everybody is playing a single copy of Enhanced Hammer in their deck.
Yeah.
And it's not an effect that you get to use on your turn.
Right. Like I'd much rather not play a tool or not play this. Like the tool, like the cape and Legacy Energy, like things that your opponent can just like snipe if they have the card, which in Pokemon you always have the card because in Pokemon you go through your deck 17 times a turn.
Yeah.
I'd much rather just play the Master Ball and have the consistency factor.
Which is another reason like Lost Vacuum and Enhanced Hammer are going to be in every deck.
Yeah.
1 or 2 of each.
Yeah. Mew, okay, so like you know this better than most, but Mew VMAX didn't always play 4 Vacuum. No. It wasn't until close to the end of Mew VMAX's time with us that it decided to play 4 Vacuum because the meta called for 4 Vacuums. And Mew Yeah,
you were
and
just
Mew
destroyed.
was fine with it because Mew would vacuum their hand away and Genesect it back up, right? It doesn't. There's no downside to that.
None.
I firmly believe we will find decks that are not as punished by 4 vacuums and will run 4 vacuums because
I'd say Chien-Pao, probably.
I think we're approaching. Yes, for sure. I think we're approaching a format soon where 4 vacuums will be necessary, and then that'll be the big card that we lose come next rotation.
For sure. Yeah, because they're putting in like Jamming Tower. That's a bad card.
Yeah, man, I hate it when radio waves make my clothes stop working.
Yeah, for real. I hate it when the 5G makes me naked.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
terrible. It's like it's Temple of Sinnoh.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Right.
Like, and Andrew Mahone made this very apparent in his live stream going over the set. He's like, that card's fine. Lost Vacuum's better. In the same sense, Temple of Sinnoh is fine. But Enhanced Hammer is better.
Yeah.
It's cool, though, because we are seeing some really cool, like, special energy come out. And I think this is a very appropriate thing for them to do, because Lugia, with enough access to really good special energy, is just going to be broken.
Right.
I don't know. There's so many... We could go on forever talking about the impactful cards from this set. Like, Handy Circulator looks really cool for control decks. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is your active Pokemon and is damaged by opponents in attack, move an energy attached to the attacking Pokemon to one of your opponent's bench. Like, that's almost better than discarding the energy, because they can't Super Rod it back in.
Right.
Like, you're going up against Zard? Cool. Move that fire to their Rotom. What do they do?
Cry.
I don't know. Yeah, for sure. As they should. There's so many cool cards. I'm so pumped for this set. And it's coming out way sooner than we're really ready for. It's what, May?
I don't remember.
I want to say May. The new Luxray EX looks sick.
I mean, it looks cool, but the print on it is not great.
What do you mean by that?
I don't like the text on it. I don't think it'll see play.
I think it will.
Really?
Not a lot. I think. Control decks are for sure gonna play it.
Reveals her hand. Choose a card, discard it. Yeah.
Choosing a card in your opponent's hand and discarding it is so stupid.
That's fair. I don't know. I think I struggle to. How do I phrase this? Yeah. Although I normally love hand control type of cards and decks, I am a huge I like it. You can play it, play like 3 or 4 hand destruction cards at a time, whatever.
Yep.
As long as the Lost Box engine is in the deck or is in the game,
yeah,
I can't get behind hand destruction because, as you know, every Lost Box player you play against has 47 cards in hand at all times.
This is true.
The hardest counter to a Lost Box player is Hand Trimmer.
True. Super true. Well, I think that's what's going to make this card like more playable. It'll be some ridiculous like Pidgeot Rotom. It'll be the Charizard Pidgeot engine, right? Where it's like instead of Charizard, you just put in the Luxray, and you use like E-Gens to get the Luxray powered up. Or like a DTE if you really have to.
Right.
And then you're combining that with Hand Trimmer, you're combining that with Airy, you're combining that with like probably Grabber from 151. And you're just picking their hand apart. Or even maybe like the Unfair Stamp too. I think there's something there. I don't think it's gonna be an incredible deck, but I'm sure somebody's gonna bust it out and do well with it once.
Yeah, I'm sure. For sure.
Man, there's not a lot else in here. I mean, the Pokemon are less impactful. This Milotic looks cool. Your opponent's Pokemon in play and any attached cards. Hold on. I just had a stroke. Its ability Serenity says your opponent's Pokemon in play and any cards attached to those Pokemon can't be put into your opponent's hand. Which is pretty cool. Gets rid of Turo, gets rid of Penny. I guess it's kind of a way to combat. We've been seeing a lot of control decks lately, and I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I think before we move on from the set talk, let's mention this festival lead deck. Another catastrophe in the world of judging that has been a heartbreaker for many.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
No.
That new single prize deck. There's a handful of them. There's a
in Masquerade.
Yeah, it's the Diplin that says that has a festival lead, and there's a couple of other ones.
Oh, festival lead. Okay, if festival grounds is in play, this Pokemon may use any attack it has twice. If the first attack knocks out your opponent's active Pokemon, you may attack again after your opponent chooses a new active Pokemon.
Yeah. Let's see. It's the Thwackey has it. The Diplin has it. Oh wow, the Do the Wave is pretty good. The Goldeen has it. The Swirlix has it, which is cool. It'll be an interesting single prize deck. I don't think it's very good because you can't use TMs, and that was the heartbreaker. Because you can't use any TMs with it, and you have to use not Community Center. You have to use Festival Grounds, which just says each Pokemon that has energy attached can't be affected by special conditions. What do you do?
Could you not use the TM for the first attack and then not use the TM for the second?
No. Because it doesn't say this Pokemon can attack twice.
Oh, use any attack it has twice. Okay, I gotcha.
Yep.
I gotcha. Yep.
Which is so sad.
One attack times 2. I got it. Cool.
But it has to be already printed on the card.
Right. All right. Once during your turn, if your active Pokemon has Festival Lead ability, search your deck for a card, put it to your hand. Okay, Thwackey, relax.
Thwacky's pretty good.
Goldeen has it. If Festival Grounds is in play, this Pokemon may attack twice. And it has Whirlpool. So 10 damage, flip a coin. If heads, discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. Oh, that's
right.
Mildly annoying.
For sure.
Swirlix. They're all just tiny little dudes.
Yeah, they're all little babies.
Put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. So 4 damage counters?
Yeah. It's not very much.
I mean, I get, is the Diplin the powerhouse here?
I think it's the Thwackey and the Diplin.
20x, 20 damage for each of your bench Pokemon?
I think this will be a deck for people like Matt who really like super effective glasses.
True.
And exclusively those people.
Do you even play Rillaboom in this?
Probably not, honestly.
60 damage during your opponent's next turn. Attacks used by the defending Pokemon costs 1 more.
That's actually kind of neat. I don't think it's very good. It's neat. It's cute.
Yeah,
you'll see play in GLC.
It's not that great.
Actually, no, it won't. The Rillaboom for GLC is broken. No one's playing that. Yeah, heartbreaker for sure. I wish we were getting something better for that.
Yeah, I think it's cute, but it's like what was that old Yu-Gi-Oh deck that kind of worked that way? I don't know. I forgot. There was an old deck that kind of worked that way. It was like a bunch of tiny effects that really didn't do a whole lot, but were kind of cute together, you know?
Yeah. What a shame. If they ever print a card with that ability, though, it's going to be like a good card. It's over.
Yeah, this might just be the beginning of that kind of thing.
I'd love to see more festival lead cards.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that.
Especially because the festival, and this is a totally minor note, but the festival lead arts are so cute.
Yeah, they're cute.
Because they're all festival themed. Like Thwackey is in some tent or playing on the drums. Diplin is in line with his other little applins and Diplin, or no, he's looking at some candy apples. Goldeen is looking at these fireworks, which that card is kind of gorgeous, actually. The Swirlix is looking at a bunch of cotton candy. It's cute. I like those arts. Dang, man. So much heat in this set. Between the cards themselves. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about? I feel like I've been talking your ear off for 30 minutes.
No, you're fine. You're fine. No, I think we covered the whole set. At least all the heavy hitters.
Sweet, man. Cool. before we move on, a little bit of housekeeping. I totally forgot that I didn't do this at the beginning. I want to mention, if you made it this far, first of all, thank you for listening. But we're now on Spotify, like officially. I'm uploading. Everything's uploaded and to date. This episode will be going live on Spotify probably around the same time as this is up on YouTube. So if you like the podcast but don't want to see us, first of all, rude. Second of all, you're now welcome to do that on Spotify. I think Spotify might actually have the video too. So you're out of luck. You get to deal with it. But that's now there. Also, please make sure on Spotify, leave a good rating. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, share it. Sharing it is awesome. Gives us a lot of opportunities to meet new people, so that we can have them on the show. So now that that's out of the way with, I'd like to talk with you, Randy, about something we didn't go over with in the pre-show.
Okay.
And that is the other card game that you've been quite a fan of lately. Star Wars Unlimited. Talk to me about it.
What do you want to know? It's the better Star Wars card game. And I say this actually with numbers to support it. The devs released a video a couple weeks ago, maybe like 2 weeks at this point, where they talked about how they are printing set 2 way like larger than set 1 was. They're planning to reprint set 1 come holiday season, which is crazy. They have all been very transparent as far as the success of the game, the stock of the game, making sure that the stores that have officially signed up for it are getting that stuff first. So I love transparency from the devs. I love that kind of stuff because it gives us the information we need to stay invested in this game. They release their dev notes and videos at a really timely manner and make sure that we have all the information that we need. And then outside of the back end things like the developer updates, we actually have a game that plays actually like chess with pictures, which is how I describe card games to non-card game players. Because I always just say it's like chess with pictures, but this is actually like chess with pictures because you, as you know, don't have a whole turn to do the thing you want to do with no interruption. It's very short and succinct. I do a thing, you do a thing, I do a thing, you do a thing. And I'm very happy with the characters that they started the game with. My favorite villain in the entire Star Wars universe is Grand Admiral Thrawn, which is my favorite deck of the ones that I play.
That's that control deck you played against me, right?
It is the control deck that checks the top card of both players' decks. It's really, really cool. But yeah, there's obviously like aggro mid-range control. There's a lot of really fun effects.
I've loved the play styles that you get from in that game and all of the different effects. Like Thrawn's being able to look at the top cards of either deck and get value based on what's there is such a cool effect.
And I didn't realize until after, but I don't know how familiar you are with Star Wars Rebels as a show.
A little bit.
In that show, the main character is a little kid named Ezra Bridger. Yeah. And I built the Ezra Bridger like Spectre deck with Hera as the leader and the rest of the Spectres. And it wasn't until I actually sat down to play the Spectre deck versus the Thrawn deck that I realized just how annoying the Spectre deck is to the Thrawn deck. Because the Thrawn deck says only at the beginning of the action phase do you check the top card of each deck. And Ezra and a couple other cards in the deck move that card by they either scry it or they mill it or they move it to the bottom or whatever.
That's so sick.
Yeah, they make it so that it like disrupts the Thrawn ability. So it's actually really fun like interaction there, which I'm sure the devs did on purpose.
And it's canon events too. It's stuff that happened. Not like obviously they're not playing cards in the show, but like it's cool that they're making heroes and villains that beat each other in the mediums they came from.
Yeah, I think that's very, very fun that way for sure. We have the Inquisitors, we have all the bounty hunters. The Mandalorian is coming out in set 2.
That's gonna be so sick.
Bringing a bunch of cool characters with him. We're finally getting like Cad Bane and that kind of stuff. So it'll be
Cad Bane is crazy.
Yeah,
I hope that card's good. For those of you who are listening and like have no idea what we're talking about, there's a more recent card game called Star Wars Unlimited that is exceptional. I urge you, look up like how to play, get a deck. I think it has enough staying power that we could be seeing it for a long time, because it is a very good game. It is exactly like chess with pictures, because like where you and I are used to Pokemon, where it's like when you have your turn, you get like to combo off and then your opponent gets to go. It's very much not combo heavy in that same sense, where you don't get to play more than one card unless your opponent lets you. Which is just so cool.
Yeah.
It makes you think so much about what you're going to do.
Yeah. And something that we've seen for like new players is set 1 had it. It was the Vader versus Luke deck. Set 2 is going to have it, which is the Mandalorian versus not Grand Moff, Gideon from Mandalorian.
Yeah.
It's like one product that comes with 2 fully built decks that obviously have room to be upgraded, but are the best way to teach players and get players interested in that kind of thing. And if they do it the same way that they did it for the Vader versus Luke one, there will be cards that are not in the set that are exclusive to those decks.
Ooh.
So it's a little bit of an extra incentive to
I kind of like that.
Get those, yeah.
That's super cool, man.
Mm-hmm. Like, for example, I Am Your Father is not in the set. It's in that deck. I'm pretty sure.
Wow. Dang. So cool. I really enjoy that game. I look forward to playing more of it. I feel like I've been out of the loop for so long, though, between vacation and other nonsense, and I only played that one time against you, and then I've completely fell off since. So
yeah. I always have my decks on me. Pokemon will forever be my main card game, and that's never going to change. Right. I don't even think Star Wars could do that, just because it doesn't have the scene and the people that Pokemon has right now.
Right.
But I do always have my cards, so
bet we'll have to have a rematch, because I love that. I love that game, and I love that you've kind of like pioneered also the Greater Charlotte Discord for it, and just like making people know about it, because my life is definitely better knowing about it.
Yeah, I just gotta get people to join that Discord channel or server.
I'm sure it'll happen. It's brand new, so I mean, we got time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We've done a lot of the stuff that we kind of had to talk about. I guess the only thing left to really talk about is kind of we touched on it a little bit. There's a little bit of a problem, swinging back to the Pokemon TCG. There's a bit of a problem, and its name is Charizard EX. And that's evidenced by its, let's see, first place, third place, fourth place at Sao Paulo. It got second at Singapore. In Perth, it was like every other deck. It was first, second, third, fifth, eighth, ninth, like so much of the top cut. It's now 25% of the meta share. And I don't want to like harp too much on it, just because like we know it's a good deck, but like, what do you think, man? Like, as far, obviously neither of us are in game design,
right?
But like, what do you think is going to get done about that deck?
I think Iron Leaves is a step in the right direction.
I agree.
I think having cards that are easy to access within their archetype and answer the threat of Charizard are good. Iron Leaves makes it so that you don't have to charge up the Iron Leaves before it can one-tap a Charizard.
Right.
Like, it is within its archetype. It's very specific to that archetype, and it does the job. And if we have one card in each deck that gets to answer the Zard, that's fine with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, 330 didn't have to be printed.
No, I agree.
It did not have to be 330. It could have been 320. It could have been 310.
Easily.
I don't know. It just, I think I would defer to Sky in this moment, who is like my tutor when it comes to the numbers behind Pokemon.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the HP thresholds there are what confuse me the most.
Yeah.
The damage output is fine. I don't mind you nuking me and doing, one-shot damage to me, but the fact that I can't hit you back in
Feels
one
terrible.
hit is awful. Yeah.
Dang, man. Yeah. Super crazy. Yeah. Well, I'm hopeful, man. It makes me wish that the Charizard EX from 151 was better. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. I think, is that the one that had the full art that I pulled, or am I thinking of something else?
Maybe. I've got it up here on PokemonCards.com. It is so 330 HP. It's got Brave Wing for 60 and 60. Sorry,
Yeah.
60 plus 100 if it's got damage counters on it. But if they had made that attack cost less, like one fire less, I think that could be playable.
People tried playing this in regular Zard.
Yeah.
Like as a one of.
Right.
And they were like, no, why the hell are we doing this? They took it out. But yes, I pulled the special art rare of this one, and I think I traded it or something almost immediately. But
reasonable. That's an expensive card.
Yeah. But yes, I do also wish this card was better. If they, again, I have no problem with your Mon one-tapping me.
Right.
That's not the issue. The issue is that I can't one-tap it back. There's no even prize race here because it's going to take me 2 hits to kill you.
No matter what. Unless it's the Iron Leaves.
And good grass types are far, far, far less accessible than good water types.
True. And there's also something to be said about like the Infernal Rain ability, just letting you get 3 energy and the attack only costing 2 fire.
Yeah, 3 was too much. I think 2 is fine. Making it 3 lets you like retreat a Rotom and lets you retreat a Charmander into the Charizard that you've set up on your bench. Like, it allows for too much flexibility, and I think that's part of the card's problem for sure.
Yeah, I do. I'm not sure if this is a better or worse timeline for the 151 Charizard being like bad, because I could see a world where like it only has 3 energy for the attack cost, and to be able to power up with another Charizard EX and be aggressive in the mirror match without getting like punished for it. Because we saw very much like in was it Orlando Finals where Tord won?
No, he didn't make finals EYC. In Orlando. It was UIC. Yeah.
That finals match, or maybe it wasn't the finals, but I remember there being, it was either UIC or Orlando, there was a streamed match. It was a Charizard mirror, and there was so much Charmander attacking because if he didn't, it was just going to be like it was almost like they were playing chicken.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't, like, your other guy would just be like, oh well, I can just get out Charizard and nuke your board.
Right.
And that's never like a position you want to be in where you get punished for playing the game correctly.
I will say, as annoying as Charizard is, and I owned the deck for maybe a week, if that, before I immediately dismantled it because it just felt gross to pilot.
Yeah.
The hardest matchup for Charizard is Charizard. So
it's the only other thing that can hit that big and survive.
Yeah.
Crazy times. Huh. Well, I think that's really... we've talked about just about everything. Do you have anything else you'd like to mention? Anything you're interested in talking about before we kind of wrap things up here?
Not really. Thank you for having me again.
Dude, anytime.
Look forward to the post NAIC episode that I'm sure you're gonna ask me to come on for.
I've already got you booked.
But no,
you can shoot me an invoice. It'll be great.
I enjoy this very much. I like having a place where I can talk about the game without feeling like I don't know enough about the game. Because part of judging, at least for me, is I have focused so much on judging that I have kind of ignored getting good at the actual card game. Something that you and I have talked about like off camera. Sure. And it's something that I want to kind of like not focus entirely on, but I want to kind of balance the scale a little bit where I have the rule book memorized, which I do, but then I also understand the card game to the point where like I could be a good player if I wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. And you for sure are already making steps towards that. It's just like it's weird because you can know everything about it, but until you get your reps in, like some decks just fall apart when you try to play them if you haven't had the experience.
Yeah, my problem is I'm just a sore loser. Like I hate losing. You know,
dude,
like
I get so tilted.
I have fun playing the game, and the moment I start losing, I go, I'm not having
like,
fun
this game
anymore.
sucks.
You know, yeah,
this game sucks. Get out of here. Oh man, yeah, so thrilled to have you back. I definitely do want to have you back after NAIC, so you can talk to me about how you met Chip Ritchie and Azul GG, and booked them for the podcast.
Oh boy.
Just kidding, unless. But like, yeah, I'm so thrilled. I'm always glad to talk to you. You are a wealth of knowledge for judging the game. It's cool that for the time being, like I get to almost live vicariously through you as a judge because I don't have the budget right now to go staff events.
Next season,
it's cool, dude. Next season, I'm grinding. I'm so ready. I'm gonna be staffing events. I'm gonna be playing in events. Like I plan to go to NAIC. I want to get some of the squad from our locals together to go to NAIC next year. Maybe we like bunk up or something, but it'll be awesome.
I think Sammy registered successful.
Yeah, Sammy made it in. I cannot wait to see which 60 of Charizard he plays. Yeah, super stoked. It's gonna be a great time. The future looks bright. And again, I cannot express enough how glad I am that I get to have you as a friend and as a supporter and member of the show. So
anytime.
Before we kind of sign off, do you have any? I'll leave your links below, but if you want to shout them out here, like let us just go ahead and where can folks find you?
I don't really post on Instagram or anything like that. I use Twitter primarily for like my own news and to kind of chat with the rest of the community. So if you want to, you could find me at Randy Zerk. That's ZERQ. But yeah, that's basically it.
Cool. You're also, and once again, you've forgotten that you stream on Twitch.
I haven't streamed on Twitch in like 2 months. I don't even consider myself a Twitch streamer anymore.
Oh, that's okay.
I took down my light. I had like a light right here.
Oh no,
isn't there anymore. I think I'm retiring for good. Dang. I might get into podcasting. We'll see.
We'll get there. Yeah. Hey, who knows? Yeah. Cool. I will leave all of Randy's links in the description and in the show notes. Please do yourself a favor. Go follow him. Like I said, he's a wealth of knowledge and a general excellent person. Thank you all for watching or listening, whatever you did. Hopefully one of both, one of each, maybe. And I will see you in the next one. Peace out.